In a startling development, ESPN has once again made news, this time for firing one of its key players. Elle Duncan's relentless campaign against Caitlin Clark, a rising star who has been nothing short of amazing in the WNBA, was the beginning of it all. However, rather than applauding her achievement, Duncan took a different route that ultimately led to her demise at ESPN. It's unlikely that Breanna Stewart will ever win another title and Nafisa Sear is superior to Maya Moore, as evidenced by the hot comments that specifically and exclusively focus on these black women rather than Caitlin Clark. Together, Monty Jones and Elle Duncan are doing what it seems like every person of color, also known as every African American in the WNBA, the media, and the WNBA is doing. They are targeting Caitlin Clark, a 22-year-old white straight girl, because see, Caitlin Clark can throw a ball into a basket deeper. And better than anyone in women's basketball history, because Caitlin Clark plays with flair. Before we get into the specifics, let's take a look at how Duncan's actions led to her termination from ESPN. It's not surprising that she faced criticism because accusations without proof never go over well with viewers, and it was only a matter of time before ESPN had to sever ties. Today, we'll dive into the controversy and analyze why ESPN made. Stay in as we reveal all the specifics of this daring maneuver and how Elle Duncan's activities evolved from criticism to what many refer to as a witch hunt against Clark. Let's hear from Danik, who had a lot to say about Duncan's behavior and the unfairness of the system. She's never been around these kinds of women, such as black women or ladies from other regions of the nation, as if they didn't exist. I hear this all the time, don't criticize me, but really, how conceited is this in this bubble? This is as conceited as you can be, honest to God. He draws attention to the discrepancies. Don't judge me by the color of my skin. Really, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're sitting there and judging me. You're judging a woman you have no idea. Zero zip, it's a harsh pill. But Duncan's attitude went too far in making personal assaults. Criticism is one thing. Let's take a closer look at what Dak Hick had to say about Duncan and the jealousy he saw among ESPN's viewers. The truth is that Duncan's remarks touched a chord, but not in the way she had hoped. Instead of garnering support, she immediately faced backlash from fans, analysts, and even other commentators who questioned why she chose to focus on Clark's alleged privilege rather than her undeniable talent on the court. Every commentator I know still knows it, and ESPN tells me that these women are so ridiculous. There's a green room next to the makeup area, and it's loud, stupid, asinine, and absurd. That's Elle Duncan and her little cast of friends, and all the little girls at ESPN look like they're just trying to make themselves better, not better, and more popular. And I don't care what they do, Elle Duncan has always been in that bubble. Touched a nerve, but they also mirrored the opinions of many viewers who believe that criticism is legitimate but quickly loses credibility when it appears to be driven by envy. Since her debut, women's basketball viewership has increased by nearly 40%, with fans traveling from all over the nation to watch her talent. Caitlin Clark's arrival in the WNBA has been nothing short of revolutionary. Her statistics speak for themselves as she leads the league in points per game and has brought a new wave of excitement to the sport. However, despite this success, Elle Duncan's focus was on undermining Clark's accomplishments. Let's go back to a point in Duncan's criticism that many believe crosses a line the second you show love to someone who isn't Caitlin Clark. You're part of a constituency that is trying to limit her contributions, and you're racist. You know, we get a lot of that, so it's no wonder that the W coverage is exclusively black women, because you're all working together to try to. The truth is that Caitlin Clark's story is far from one of privilege. She has competed against athletes from all backgrounds who have faced challenges both on and off the court. Many saw Duncan's narrative as a direct attempt to dismiss her. Still, it's a clear attempt to change the narrative, but viewers weren't buying it when your arguments rely more on envy than evidence. Clark's success, because despite Duncan's criticism, she was unable to identify any flaws in her game. Let's see how Clark dominated the court and disproved her skeptics. She was generating news for all the right reasons. Throughout the summer, Caitlin Clark has basically carried the sport on her back. She talks about Yang, and what speaks to her is that it's not her being white or heterosexual. Her style of play appeals to basketball fans around the country because she plays with flair and has that edge. Sitting there, I overheard her drop 3 F-bombs in a single game. Magic Bird is shouting at the coast because her colleagues were holding her back. Isaiah Jordan, they do whatever you can think of. It's simple to understand why fans swarm to Clark, but that clicking sound you hear as television is being turned off. Isn't anyone watching this thing right now? isn't anyone turning the set on and saying, hey, I got to watch who. Clark, as we move forward, let's examine how Duncan's remarks weren't just directed at Clark, they also targeted her fan base. Analyst Dan Day didn't hold back when pointing out the obvious double standards, arguing that Elle Duncan's attacks were motivated by something deeper or resentment that had more to do with Clark's quick ascent to fame than any valid criticism. Has been fantastic for the game, for the sport of her own Valshin, Caitlin Clark, but it has been frustrating to have this group of people come in and instantly invalidate the contributions of all these women before her just because they don't know. Yes, people will talk about it more, but please, God, just educate yourself so that you can have negative opinions about basketball and not negative opinions that bring racism and misogyny into the world. It's unfair that these ladies weren't fans. They don't like being categorized, and this really fueled an already through all the turmoil, raging fire in contrast to her detractors. Caitlin Clark remained focused on her strengths as a basketball player and talked about her dedication to the sport and respect for her colleagues in interviews. While Clark's rivals attempted to seize the limelight using various strategies, let's see how one of them fared. Clark refrained from lashing out or participating in the criticism. Her detractors, Angel Reese, made an effort to change the story. Although Caitlin Clark is pleasant and doesn't wear booty shorts or shake her ass, she has a boyfriend who seems very modest. In fact, I noticed yesterday that Angel Reese was wearing shorts that were up her ass and shaking her ass at something, which is good for her popularity and explains why fans support her. However, the drama didn't stop there. Let's hear from Dan Dockey once again as he exposes the conceit of certain ESPN commentators. As I previously mentioned, when people from ESPN arrive, they are all thrilled and delighted to be at the top of the world. For some, it's the ultimate goal. However, when you arrive and someone notices that you're a woman of color, Dave Roberts, a man of color, will automatically promote you because you hold liberal beliefs. It's automatic, so when you don't perform, it's not like everyone tunes in to hear what Elle Duncan has to say, but you get really conceited and important. Clark's humility and dedication have won over countless fans, proving that she's not only a star on the court, but also a class act off it. It's no wonder why so many people have rallied behind her during this controversy, viewing her as a breath of fresh air. His scathing words cut through the narrative, exposing the hypocrisy that many fans had been sensing. While Clark continued to concentrate on her game, the fallout at ESPN was just getting started. What does Duncan's resignation signal for the network's future? Fresh air in a sport that sorely needs positivity. Let's conclude with a more comprehensive viewpoint. The WNBA's black women chose to slap Caitlin Clark on the ass from behind as soon as she entered the court to play basketball, and Angel Reese and her teammates immediately decided to applaud. Suddenly, other black women proceeded to confront her at half court. They also decided, like A'ja Wilson, to act like morons when discussing her, expressing jealousy. What do you think people will talk about when it seems like a concerted effort? Caitlin Clark and her supporters didn't initiate anything. They simply entered the league, and a number of them cheered her on. Then, all of a sudden, Kennedy Carter is kicking her in the rear. Let's take a last look at how Clark's power transcends the court and why others have found it difficult to match her impact. It's difficult to avoid wondering whether there's more going on behind the scenes. What I'm talking about here is one of the most incredible stories you will ever witness in sports. Despite being in a fever, Caitlin Clark managed to garner over 1 million spectators for Friday's game versus the Lynx on II on the NFL was on at the same time. Now, Shaq, who I'm beginning to believe is a fool, if you're going to give Caitlin props, make sure our females who are winning this league get the same props. Hey, you're wonderful, but you're not that great yet. Calm down. We still have A'ja Wilson and Diana Taurasi. I can't believe that no one cares about A'ja Wilson. Nobody gives a rat's ass to America's most valued and immature athlete, and they never really gave a rat's ass to the level of Caitlin Clark or Diana Taurasi or no Shaquille O'Neal. But this is different. That's what I'm trying to say. Inspiration matters in sports, and Clark has plenty of it. It's no wonder that she's the new face of the league while others fade into the background. We've seen women like A'ja Wilson play from the free throw line down and Diana Taurasi try to look like a dude playing basketball. Just stop it, stupid. They're good players in a bad league, but none of them have flair or energy, and none have captured our attention.